Welcome to the Under the Hat podcast,
the show where we talk about everything and anything that is top of mind in education.
The goal is to provide meaningful conversations to what is currently happening in our classrooms.
Stories, pains,
moments of success.
We want to hear it all.
Friends, I feel like I owe you a sincere apology. It's been a good 3, 4, I don't know how many weeks since we've done a month. Yeah. We did this whole jam of March Madness. That was March. That's a better indicator of how long it's been.
Oh my God.
But yeah, it's been long. It's been a while.
Did we not do one? Did we not do one in the whole month of April?
I would have to check the archives. Sophie, where'd you go?
I'll be back.
But it has been a while. But we wanted to just do season finale, close this season down. This is season 3. No, season 2. Sophie and I are doing a lot of work on season 3. That's where my brain's at right now. Season 3 will kick off in August. We already have a lot of phenomenal. Oh my gosh. So I just lost all of my thoughts right now. Sophie, that is amazing, hilarious, and is bringing me a lot of joy right now.
I know.
Wait. So are you wearing that for the whole time? Because that might be a problem. Not the whole time.
It's hot. I can't keep it on my face.
Yeah.
But yeah, so this is actually my husband's C-3PO. I wore a BB-8 costume this year, the year that we wore this, and Zane, we only had little Zane. He wore a R2-D2 costume. So I just had this
I can see your husband wearing that.
Just had this
now,
laying around.
Has that been, so have you all used that for have you gone to a con with that thing? Or is that more like Halloween? Oh, okay.
It was Halloween.
Yeah.
We were going to bring it out to Cali when we went out to a con with you, but that hasn't happened yet. That
hasn't happened yet. No. So yeah, friends. So this is our episode. We're using to close down this season. Sophie and I have a lot to share. There's a lot of updates. Maybe not so much about the show, but about what we're working on right now. Professionally, personally, there's a lot. There's a lot going on. But so Sophie, you've started a new journey.
I have.
Professionally, personally though too. I feel like there's a definite personal connection to that. So yeah. So what are you up to?
So this I've started on checking off some bucket list shit. Well, bucket list checking is what's happening. So I have started a doctoral program. And one of the reasons why I haven't started this adventure sooner is that I didn't think I was capable of actually doing it. The whole writing a dissertation just seemed like it was too overwhelming and too difficult, and too much time was going to be taken out of my personal life in order to pursue that. But with the advent of AI, I now have that accommodation that I need, because I'm ADHD, I'm a mom, I also work full time. And so I just don't have a lot of time to brainstorm and process and think through things and to edit myself. So with Gemini and Grammarly, those two combos are extremely helpful to help me process my thinking, get it out onto the page, and to then edit my work. So I am thrilled to be adventuring into this doctoral program. The other reason why I never thought I would do it is because I didn't know what I wanted to study, because it's you've got to have a really narrow focus, a focus of study. And I just didn't know what I wanted to focus on. I was it'll be escape rooms. Oh, it'll be this. Oh, it'll be that. And I just went through all these, everything that I was really passionate about at that time, just sort of went through. And so I guess what my hyperfixation at that point in time was what I thought I could potentially pursue. But then that hyperfixation waned. But this one hasn't for years now. So my doctoral program is curriculum and instruction with a focus of study and instructional leadership. And I hope to study basically the universal design of learning. Like, what should we be doing to help benefit all students? And it's been something that has been in my mind for a while now. Having the boys that I do, with them both being people with autism, and with me being late diagnosed ADHD, everything that I have learned with those two paths is very passionate of mine. And the emotional turmoil, the mental turmoil that I went through as a child should never happen to any child. So I want to help ensure that. That's what I want to do.
Yeah, I love that. At least in my area, if you're going that route, so at the university that I teach, I think the only education pathway to get that is just leadership, but not like instructional leadership, like just leadership. Because I think that's different, right? Leading through the admin lens, let's say, versus what you're doing, like the instructional lens.
The instructional lens.
And I think that'd be the only way I could lead.
Right? And this really plays well into my second master's, which is instructional design and technology. And I thought that I was going to go into like an ed tech master's or doctoral program, but I didn't. It wasn't about the technology. It's not about the technology that you're using in the classroom. It's more than that. It's about understanding, the questioning, the empathy. There's more than just the tools that you're using in your classroom to create a whole, like an environment where you're teaching the whole child and providing them with a safe space so they know what to ask or feel like they can ask, and that they can choose without being judged. Today I'm going to listen to this with audio, but tomorrow I might not, and not be judged for using the audio because I can read, but maybe I just had a bad day and I need help focusing. Like, there's more to it than the diagnosis. That is.
Yeah. So, and then the UDL part of it, right? Like, is UDL, how prevalent is UDL in West Virginia? So, in other words, how much of a commodity are you going to be to help people? If you know what I'm getting at.
That's an interesting thing. I don't know. It wasn't something that I learned when I went through, and I have some professors that I'm still like friends with. And it doesn't seem to be something that is very prevalent with them. I was a coach. It doesn't seem to be, the lingo isn't there. Like, UDL isn't there. But the idea of being flexible is in a lot of really good teachers' classrooms. So I could potentially be a great commodity, a person to lean on, an expert in the field. But at the same time, because I'm from here and people already know me, I don't know if it'll work. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get that. And, and there's other states around you, right? Like, I'm always curious about that, or I have been for a while, because in California, UDL is very much a part of our lingo. Not for that long though. Like, if I talk to some teachers, they'd be like, "Oh, what is that thing again?" Or especially if they've not been in a pre-service program for like, at least if it's been like 15 years, they're probably not as versed. But like, part of my teacher evaluation for the university, like, one thing I have to fill out is how they're using UDL, student teachers. So it's very much like, that looks a lot different. But I do feel that like everyone has room to grow in UDL, because it's a really big umbrella,
Oh yeah, it's
So
huge.
yeah. So I love that you're
And
gonna
and there's
help us with
there's
that.
there's a lot of ways that you can implement it, and there's a lot of ways that people
Mm.
see it. And one of the things that I've noticed in some of my conversations with Gemini is that people just think that UDL is for students that need it. And I'm like, well, yeah, but all students need it. That's the thing. I kind of like my goal, my dream is to continue research to find those like 10 things that should be embedded in all instruction, no matter what. And so that's also would be like the bigger dream is to change curriculum at the core. The companies that are making these curriculum need to embed it in there so that teachers don't have to do it themselves, that it's already there. That would be the dream.
Yeah, and also do it in a way that, okay, here's what I'm trying to say. So like I've seen curriculum, I'm not going to say the name. Oh, don't do that. I have a new camera, folks, so like stop with the hand gestures.
For those of you who can't see, it just zoomed in on Steve because he created a box with his hands.
In a very unpleasing way. Like you don't need my face that big.
We don't need to see your pores.
You don't need to see my pores. What's I gonna say? I lost my train of thought.
Yeah, I have no idea.
So these companies, right? Like some of them embed project-based learning. Like I've seen it, but if you actually look at it, I'm like, that's actually not PBL. Like it's
and
not
some of
like
those things that they put in there, it's just like a little add-on you can do in addition to, and it's not embedded in it. And that's not what this is about. It needs to already be embedded in the instruction, and teachers need to have professional development to help them understand how to facilitate it in such a way that students are not taking advantage of these things. But they're using it because like using it purposefully, just like with AI. But yeah, so that they're using it when they need it, and they're using it purposefully, and they're using it to help them think deeper and further, but not necessarily using it like a crutch type of thing. So there are teachers that will always think, well, they don't actually need that would have been not teachers. I didn't need read aloud. But by golly, that really did help me understand what was going on, and it saved me so much time. And we didn't have read aloud. It was my mother recording herself reading my honors English books over the summer, and then I would listen to her while I was reading them.
She was your Cammy.
She was my Cammy. She was my little, except her voice is not nearly as nice as my UK British male. Like my British male voice is very much more relaxing and pleasing to listen to than my voice or my mom's voice. Not that her voice isn't nice. It's just I hear it all the time.
It's the voice you've always heard. Probably the first voice.
Yeah. For real.
Yeah, so that's super cool. A lot of the things that I love that you used the word embedded, like, and you calling out the add-on, because you're absolutely right. Like we had like inquiry journals that was like, oh, you can do this if you want. It's at the end. So I love the embed piece, and like have it be designed by an actual educator, because I feel that's the other part of the issue too, is these companies, big shout to Cami, these companies need to lean more into that model of like bringing in effective educators into their space to help them solve the things for their customers, right? For their clients. That's so good. And so, Sophie, are you done like in 2 years, 3 years?
3 years. So I started in April, and the first course is a 5-week term, a 5-week course. And it's a lot of let's practice using ADA. Let's ADA style 7th edition. Let's learn the ADA. Let's learn how to use your library. Let's go on the scavenger hunt. to navigate the library and the writing center and all the resources that my college provides you, because this is all online, right? So
Mm.
let's learn how to do all this stuff. And so it feels very busy worky, but being someone that has a master's in instructional design, I understand what they're doing. Like, I understand what they're doing. I understand the purpose of it. And while I feel like it's busy work for me because this is my 4th degree, uh, I am also sort of embracing it and seeing what I learn. Um, and I have learned some things about myself, and my chats with Gemini have been kind of eye-opening. And Gemini's been sweet. Sometimes he's like, "Oh, that is some really great insight into your why," type of thing. And it's like, he's like, "Okay, that's great." Um, and other times it's like, "Okay, I need more detail." And I'm like, "Okay, cool." But so some people are probably thinking, "Oh, Gemini's just writing her paper," and that's not what I'm doing. I this is my new strategy with Gemini, and I really like it a lot. I just dump the assignment instructions and the rubric into Gemini. And of course, I've already read it. And I'm like, okay, I kind of have an idea of what I'm going to do, but I'm struggling with even focusing, like, how do I even answer this question? Like, what angle do I need to go in at? So then I asked Gemini, create a series of questions that you can ask me to help me narrow down my focus, to help me get what's here that is required, and then to also, like, sort of expand on it. And then it created, like, this series of questions. And I'm like, okay, ask them to me one by one.
Mm.
And then it does. And then I answer the questions one by one with as much or as little detail as I can, usually over explaining things. So it's like, we just needed 1 and you gave me 5. And I'm like, yeah, well, that's me. So, and then it helps me narrow down. He's like, okay, out of these 5, which one do you think is the most? I'm like, can we do these 2 together? Like, and he's like, okay, we could do that. So we could do it like this.
Mhm.
And so then it helps me get all of the details that I need out of me in a chunked way. And then it also, like, okay, based on the information that you provided me and what you've guided me to do, here's your outline. And I'm like, sweet. And then I go from there. Oh, and Gemini now has this new thing. I don't know if you saw it. It's a canvas. So
I
it's
did see
like
that.
bringing in docs inside it. So you have the chat on one side and like a doc on the other, but it's called Canvas. So that you have like the canvas in there, and you're editing and you're writing and tweaking your paper or your script or your discussion post or whatever it is on this side, or your reply to someone's discussion post. And you're tweaking and editing and doing all of your writing on one side, but then you can ask it to do a spell check. You can ask it to do a grammar check. You can ask it, what did I tell
Mm.
you like a couple conversations ago when it was like this? Like, I don't remember. Can you bring that information back to me? Yeah. And then it's like, okay, read this paragraph and do this. And then the thing that I really like is, okay, so the citations, that when you do a multiple citations after you write a sentence, you have to have them in alphabetical order. And I'm like, dude, they're not in alphabetical order. Fix them for me. And it's like, boo, boo, boo. And it does it, all of them. So it's saving me so much time, and it's identifying, like, I know how to use APA, and I've taken a quiz and learned all about it, and I actually understand it now for the first time. So that is something that I've definitely learned out of all of my other programs. This is the first time I actually am like, oh, this makes sense now. Instead of some hoop to jump through, I actually understand it. And Gemini's helped me do that, to understand the APA style of writing and the rules and how to structure it and stuff. So I just tell Gemini what to do to make it fix it, and it does it. It's
The way you put that is super good, because like I can, if someone's listening right now, like maybe someone has the thought of like, yeah, but now no one's gonna know how to do APA, right? But I love how you put it, be like seeing like how it's done and how it's laid out, then you actually do learn it. Be like, oh,
Mhm.
it's set up this way. That's what it's supposed to look like, kind of thing.
Yeah. And just because Jim and I might have put those citations and text citations in there doesn't mean it's right. Like, I've had to correct it. I've had to be, and so I still needed to know what it was and how to do it. And I've had to correct him. I'm like, dude, you didn't cite that right. Fix it. And, and it's like, okay, you're right. I didn't do it right. So even though a robot is like helping me, it is also sort of like having that guide on the side the entire time, because I'm not telling it, write my paper for me. I'm asking it to help me with prompts to get me started. I'm asking it to help me to trigger memories, because this term is very reflective, and what motivates you and what is your why, and it's sort of making this practice using, because we were using Canvas, the LMS, practice using Canvas in a variety of ways and to create different, like, it's just, there are just, everything is about ourselves to help us like connect to it, make it a little bit purposeful, but also I get it. Like, we are learning how to navigate Canvas and our resources and learn APA formatting. That's the whole point of this. And it's not boring because it's about ourselves. But it
Yeah.
also feels like busy work because it is just about ourselves and it's not about the research I want to do.
I don't think the world will ever allow us to like escape busy work. I think it'll always be, but we now have Gemini.
We now have
We now
Gemini, at
have
least
him.
make it less daunting. But
Yeah.
enough about me and my world and how it has changed. Steve, your world is also changing, right?
It already has, for better or for worse. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah. So I did a social post. I forgot. I don't know. Last week. Yeah.
Something like that.
Something like that. So as you know, like Sophie and I, we really don't have the start date for when Sophie and I first met. We don't have that. We just kind of always like, even before I started working at Cami, we always like, we just knew each other somehow, like just on the interwebs.
Yeah, like we
yeah.
don't know when we actually found each other, when we started following each other. We have no idea.
Yeah. Again, we don't have the start date. Now, I you know, I've working there for almost 3 years, and you know, I made the decision to step away from the company, uh, which was not an easy thing to do. I feel like the lifestyle of ed tech can be appealing working from home. Uh, and it was also like a situation where like what was healthy for me, particularly like mental health, and also like, you know, an opportunity that I feel is going to take a lot of work, but I feel like it's like a lot of potential and really resonates with me. So, um, for those that have not heard, seen, whatever, I did go back to my former school district. I started this week, uh, and it's so if you really know me, you know that former social studies teacher. But I came back, going back into the classroom doing CTE. So for those that are not familiar with CTE, that's Career Technical Education. My district, Modesto City Schools, has done, I feel like, a good job of like building out CTE in the sense of like almost every campus has at least a few pathways. So there's, you know, they have construction, they have floral. The school that I'm at has, to my measure, a really good ag program. They also have a really good video program, and the individual looking after that, he's done like stellar job. My former school I had taught in a forensic bio pathway as a core subject teacher supporting the pathway. They have like a cybersecurity stuff. But this pathway, the pathway that I got the call on to do, it needs a bit of a rebrand. And I can talk about that if we want, but it's the pathway is future teachers. So it's an education pathway. So kids that will be able to use their passion or their, their interest of working with kids or in education in whatever context, right? It's something that is going to be like, I'm gonna have to build it from the ground up. That pathway has existed on and off. They brought it back. The teacher that was looking after that, she had left, kind of doing her own journey, like I'm doing my new journey, as things go. Like right now, it's just the intro level class with like all the sections. Enrollment is not great, but we're gonna work on that. That's kind of aligned to the rebrand that I have going. And yeah, I think like it's gonna fill my bucket more. And Sophie, you and I have talked about that. Like, we don't always we rarely see the impact that we have on kids from the Cami vantage point. And for some folks, they're fine with that. Like they're you all are still making that impact in ed tech, right? I just needed, it was just my time to go back into those hallways, connect with fellow teachers, connect with families, with students. And yeah, I feel so far it seems like the right decision. And not to say that I won't have a healthy relationship with Cami. I feel Sophie can kind of speak to this maybe, but like I feel like I left on very good terms, and there were tears throughout the process last week, myself included. And I will say
Yep.
though,
Monday was hard.
Monday was probably hard. Yeah.
Monday was hard. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think leaving any job, the hardest part is leaving the people, right? The people that you've grown with, that you've, sometimes have learned to love. That was not Sophie, by the way.
People you've learned from, the people you've maybe trauma bonded with, maybe joy bonded with. There's a lot of, I've bounced from school to school my whole teaching career. I've never even stayed in one school for more than 3 years because of the nature of teaching. Until you get that seniority in the area that you are in, and in West Virginia anyways, then you don't stay there. And I have been in a number of schools in a number of positions. And while I was in a position at my last district for 5.5 years, I was at 2 different schools during those 5.5 years. So it's like, I've never been anywhere longer than 3 years until Cami. Wow.
But yeah, that's what I'm going to be up to.
All right, I got some questions for you.
Yeah.
On a scale of 1 to already misplaced my coffee mug, how ready do you really feel? You've already been in the class for like 4 days, right? Because one day was like an onboarding day. So you've already been back in the classroom for like 4 days. So like, how ready you really feel after that 1 week?
So there are some aspects of it that are like, oh, it's like riding a bike. So mind you, I'm teaching a very different thing. So like in terms of like connecting with kids, like I don't have, and the other part of it is like these kids have been with a sub for like the entire semester. So it's a really weird time to jump in and be like, hey, we have a month left together. Some are probably going to return into the pathways. Others are not, right? So that part I was not prepared for that. But like in terms of just like general like pedagogy, like instruction, it was just like I'm like, okay, cool. Y'all gonna learn a thick slide right now. Sweet. Get up on a GIMP kit. We're doing some fast and curious, and then they like teaching them how to look at just low key, not like Sophie level, but like analyze some data, right? And then setting procedures, conferencing with students. I spent the whole day yesterday, like one by one, meeting with kids, which since the enrollment is low, the good thing right now is I have the bandwidth to meet with them on an individual basis, which was a little new for them. And I can
Oh
talk
yeah.
a little bit more about that. But so like that part of it, the lesson plan part of it, it felt like riding a bike. Like it was like, oh, okay, cool. The one layer this week though was like, oh wait, last time I did this, I didn't have AI, and now I do. Gemini, what are we doing today? Not really, but like I would have her do some things. Things that I feel that I'm not prepared for. So even though I do have a little bit of CTE experience in the sense of teaching in a California Partnership Academy, I was not the lead CTE teacher. This time around, I am. And so the curriculum, like the book they have, it's a really solid book. It's just like way dense. Like, so over the summer, we're gonna do a lot of like investigating, growing, me reaching out for help with others. I'm like, okay, cool. How are we gonna scaffold this out? CTE is more flexible. So it's not like you're teaching world history and here are all the big picture things that you got to hit. You can move things around. You can bring in different things that I think they weren't thinking of, and that I still need to ponder on more. So right now, the district has that pathway very branded, laser focused on the child development piece. It's like almost like exclusively like, oh, that's child development. And I went in this week, and just as a reminder to everyone, I'm like, it doesn't have to be just child development. It can be education broadly. And what that means now, no. Thank you. What that means now, sorry, I zoomed in again, is that there's like this giant ecosystem, right? There's ed tech, there is curriculum writing, there is course design for industry. So you don't have to like commit to being in education and get certified and get credentialed. All these skills we can align it more closely to industry, let's say, right?
Mm-hmm.
And just talking with administrators and even at the district level, they're like, yeah, Steve, you go do that. But there's going to be like, I feel like there's going to be a lot of growth, and it's going to take a lot of time to get it to where I know where I want it to be. Like I have a vision for it, but in terms of how to get there, I'm going to be needing a lot of help, people that have already committed to helping me, just within my network. So I think like the CTE part of it is where I'm like, we have learning to do and we have growth to do, but the kids need that too. So it's almost like building that classroom community of building it, but then also having our own voice and letting them have voice of how we build it and building that culture together.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Next question. Be honest. Did you practice your teacher voice before you went back?
Oh, I actually did not. No. Though
I remember you actually did a polo to me and you were like, man, I'm tired of talking.
Yeah.
Or like your voice was like Your throat was scratchy or something because you talked a lot.
No, so I remember going through this at the start of every school year before I got to Cami, like when I was originally in the classroom, because um, what was happening is like the beginning of the year, like the first week, I would have like I feel like I was losing my voice for a day, and then it just went away, like almost like my throat needed to like just build a callus or work
That's
out.
exactly what I was getting ready to say. Like it just needed to build
Yeah,
that callus.
yeah. Is working at Cami, like you have a mic, you don't really need to raise your voice. Like it's you don't look at this little tiny room. But yeah,
There are
after
tools
first day,
out there. There are tools out there to
there
help with
are
that. You don't have to
there
raise your
are,
voice.
but um, yeah, it was fine after the first day of me like being in. So that would have been after Tuesday of this week.
Mhm.
But no, I did not practice the teacher voice. I just
See,
went
I feel
in.
like my immune system has gotten like fat. Like I haven't been bombarding it with children germs
Mm,
for 3 years now. That if I went back into
hmm.
the classroom, I would just be sick. Like that's all I would do.
Yeah, we'll see. That will probably hit me at some point. Again, I think having the smaller class sizes,
It's gonna help
I
a
think
lot,
that
man.
helps, and it's a pretty good sized classroom. Like it, I think there's enough
You could
space
slow
where
down.
I'll be okay for a little bit, but no promises.
Here's a random question.
Hmm.
If your time away from the classroom was a flavor of ice cream, what would it be and why?
A flavor of ice cream. I'm gonna say vanilla.
Ouch!
And no, 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 no. Hold on. Hear me out. Listen, just hear me out here. I say vanilla because when you're in the classroom, it feels like a swirly storm of things that you have to navigate, right? So an opposite flavor is not coming to mind, but like, you know what I mean? Like the flavor that has like a lot of different things. Like maybe there's like chocolate, maybe there's like brownie in there, maybe there's like
Like a
whatever, right?
rocky road.
The rocky road, there you have the nuts, you have the little marshmallows, the chocolate, yeah. Um, so there's it just and I kind of felt that this week where it wasn't crazy, but there's like it just feels like there is and when I say more to navigate, it's not just the work itself, but then like people coming into my room, meeting me for the first time, um, reconnecting with old friends since it is my former district. It does feel busier than the work from home life. So like my time off, like I felt like I got to live a life that was like a little bit more relaxing, a little bit more um how do I say it? Like it was just less chaotic. And not to say
Less
that
stimulating.
edtech's not yeah, not to say
It
that
was less
edtech's not
stimulating.
chaotic. Yeah.
You've said that to
Um
me even before. I think it was even more than a year ago. You were like, I just don't feel stimulated enough.
yeah, and sometimes there is overstimulation for me,
Oh
right?
yeah.
And I'm probably not closing down this school year, but next school year, yeah, there's gonna be that. Um, but when you work for a company in any educational company, uh, it's a lot of showing people how your product, how your solution is solving some sort of problem. But if you're an educator, and let's say you do have a very talented brain, like Sophie, uh, does Sophie always use the depth and wealth of knowledge, uh, broadly speaking, within the entire educational conversation? So, like, Sophie, you may at times be talking about UDL, You might be at times talking about escape rooms, about accessibility. When you're doing that customer facing conversations, demoing professional learning, right? But are you always applying it? And so for me, it was the lack of application with this knowledge that I have, the skills that I think that I that I obtain. And then are you obtaining new skills, right? And learning new things by actually, because you do learn by trying the things out with the kids and be like, ooh, that worked, that did not work. And I experienced that this week. Be like, oh, these things I did at my former school are not going to work here. And so that to me is stimulating and problem solving, all of those things. I think like the application of the things that you all are talking about at Cami every day kind of it's on the bench right now if you're in that space. And I was ready
Yeah.
to go back and apply.
You get to watch other people from like the sidelines apply those things when you're at a company. You're not really doing it yourself. Even when I was a coach, I would even go in and co-teach so that I would get to apply some of those things every now and then, here and there. But when you're at any company, whether it's curriculum or whatever, you're on the side. Yeah. Could
No,
you
it's not
stop
working.
making that like
Sorry,
it's not
sorry.
making a good dude.
I'm done now.
I know sign language. I know a little bit of sign language. You could stop doing that now. Oh my gosh. All right, so
One
here's
note.
something.
Well, hold on. One note about that. To wrap up that last question is at Cami, you're right. Like you kind of just hear about the application.
Hmm.
You rarely, no, I would say never actually see
Actually
if it's
see it.
being effective or not. Like
Hmm.
Cami gets little glimpses with like case studies and
Their research
talk.
that they pay for, and like
Yeah.
and hearing
Yes.
stories from teachers and what they did and what they've done, and
Yeah.
like, and then I have my own experiences of using it in my classroom 3 years or more than 3 years ago. It was like 9 years ago now. But then I also have my stories from when I was a coach 3 years ago. But yeah, it's not the same as like doing it and doing your own reflection and doing it yourself and doing your own reflection and doing your own critical thinking and problem solving about what went wrong. Was it me? Was it the way I set it up? Was it the way that we closed it up? Was it just a bad idea? Did I not prepare the kids enough before we did this idea? Like, what was it, type of thing? And that was something that, me being like a total data geek, I enjoyed experimenting, and I enjoyed seeing what was going to work and what wasn't going to work. And I enjoyed having like, let's analyze the data and find out which standard was not the best like scoring one, and figure out all these different ways that you can actually present it differently next year. And I was good at it because my scores always went up for that standard. But that type of validation and happy feeling isn't there as often, and it isn't there via like direct. It's not direct. It's always like an on the side, indirect situation with us, and I get to hear it from other people about what's happening in their lives. However, I also have a very unique position at Cami where I'm training people company. So I do sometimes get to see that, where I am teaching the adults, my coworkers, my peers, I'm teaching and providing them with the support that they need. So I do get to see that sometimes. And I have, over the 3 years, seen some people really grow and become leaders themselves, and to become people that others are like, oh, so and so really knows what they're doing. You could go to them to lean on and support. And that does give me warm fuzzies. So
You're right. I do love that for you, where you can see human growth within, the confines of Cami itself. That's yeah. I didn't have that.
you didn't.
No. But my hope is that my bucket, and I felt this way this week. I'm like, my bucket feels fuller this week.
Mhm.
So I did have, like, talking with my new colleagues now. Some of them knew me already, be like, oh, you're Steve. We know you. And then others were like, oh, nice to meet you, blah, blah. And they're like, what school do you come from? Because they kind of heard I came from Modesto City. And I was like, oh, yeah, I used to teach at this other school, other side of town. And I was like, oh, yeah, but I did Cami for the last few years. Like, what? Like, it's almost like this, like it turns heads. We're like, and then I get to share a little bit of my story in that journey. And that filled my bucket, just like being in the same room in person. Like, anytime we were in person, it had to be a conference. It had to be a Q or an ISTE. But then also, like, what also filled my bucket is, like, I went in straight in, like, student-centered type of things. Like, and just hearing the kids be like, wait, this could be fun, or this, like, there was a kid that was like, wait, this is engaging.
Oh, well, and it's hard too when you have like a sub in there, and they're just
Yep.
they might not have any experience whatsoever. They might not even have, depending on the subs in California, there are times in West Virginia where they went like an alternative route to get like a teaching license, so that they don't actually have an education degree, and they're just in there like learning as they go and like being mentored and stuff. So like you could have someone in there that has like you're doing child development, which I find surprising and funny. But like you're doing child development, maybe they have no clue either. So you're just sort of going through the emotions. I do love, like, you sent me a picture of your classroom and I was like, dude, you did not decorate that room. Who left that for you?
I was gonna be like, I will take this credit for as long as possible, which, when I say long, it was like of 3 seconds when
Oh yeah, I
Sophie just
totally
texted
did.
me. She just texts back. She's like, you did not do that. I'm like, no, I did not. It's
Like,
cute
I
though,
know
right?
you. It is cute. It's not what I would do, but it is cute. It's cute.
So there's a big
It's
banner
basic.
thing that I have to tear down, because that banner thing is covering a whole wall of whiteboard. And you know me, I'm like, dude,
You're gonna be on
I
that
need that.
whiteboard.
I need that for some. I need that for some ideation. Like,
Yeah, your kids are gonna
uh,
be up there writing on it and using it and stuff. So they'll take that
yeah.
shit down.
Anyway, so Sophie, I know you have another question, and we are coming up on time.
We are. I asked Gemini for 10. How you feeling with like the retraining your bladder with like the no pee breaks?
Cool. This is like the most important question here. So Sophie knows me that I,
You drink a lot of coffee.
I drink a lot of coffee. So I'm not eating or drinking coffee while I'm at work. I made an effort. So those, you probably don't know this about me if you're listening, like, in the car or whatever. But, like, I've been on a health journey, a mental health journey, like both mental and physical, right? And
Yeah,
so what
you've
I was doing
lost
for a
weight
while,
and beard. You've lost weight and beard.
my beard has lost weight. We were both on this journey together. And so what I was doing for a while was like eating once a day. So like trim down on calories, making sure what I am eating is not like junk and sugar and stuff like that. So yeah, I did drop some weight. But now with this new job, so my new strategy is I was only eating like at lunchtime, but now I'm eating breakfast, a fairly hearty breakfast, right? And then not eat while I'm at work, and then I'll eat again when I return. Like early dinner though, like 4 or 5.
Old man
The
dinner.
co-
You're such an old man.
I'm an old man.
You go to bed at old man times. You're getting up at old man times. You're eating
I
an old
get
man
up like
dinner.
at 4 in the morning, reading my paper, doing my crossword. Okay. But so that's but the coffee though, I do have a water in my bag, but the coffee, whatever coffee is consumed at the house,
Is it?
yeah. So that's been helping a lot, as well as the schedule itself. So I teach 2 periods and then have a period off. Teach another period and then have lunch. And then there's essentially 3 periods after that, but one of which is like an intervention type of period where it's just students pull in. It's part of their MTSS,
Mhm.
where they're the Vikings and it's called Hammer Time. Like,
Nice.
dude, that's so sick. The kids obviously are not excited about it, but I am. I don't let them shatter my joy. But like, so that's basically my day. And one thing I do remember, and Sophie, I don't know if you can speak to this, but like when you're teaching, a day actually goes by crazy fast.
So fast. So fast. I do remember that. I remember that being some days, even being a coach, the day would fly by. Some day, like most days as a teacher, the day would fly by. The only time that the days would not fly by are test days. They are so
When you're doing
long.
nothing.
Yeah, those are the long days that I remember and being like, oh my gosh. I dreaded them as much as the kids did, like I did. So I definitely, when I started hating test days is when I was like, we got to do something different here. And I did. I just did a little bit of revamping, and tests were not as long as, if you're going to do it wrong once, you're going to do it wrong 3 times, 5 times. And why solidify that in your brain? So yeah, I did revamp a lot of what I did for assessments, so they were not long, excruciating days for the kids and for me.
Yeah.
So that
100%.
was nice. Yeah. I think we have rain here. Is it raining there?
It feels like it wants to rain, sort of, but it's not going to, at least according to my phone. But I don't trust the phone. Sometimes it lies.
I think I hear it. Like, I think it's raining right now, which stinks. I wanted to go outside today. Oh well. But yeah, so there we are with Steve is now a teacher teaching future teachers potentially. He's not potentially teaching them. He is teaching them. They could potentially be future teachers at the high school level. So it's like your pre-teacher program, which is interesting to me. You're prepping for the pre-teacher program. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm excited to see how, because we've already talked about some ideas about like the things you can get your kids certified in, and like other avenues of what they can do. And yeah, so that's exciting. It's exciting. You're going on this new adventure, this new path. And I am in a doctoral program. I'm 4 weeks in. This is week 4. Week 4's assignment is to make a video. So I actually need to record that. So I'm actually kind of happy that we had the podcast today. So I did my makeup and now I'm ready to make my video. Homework that is due tomorrow. But yeah, so I'm hoping to bust that out after this. It's a good distraction from you no longer being my coworker to be busy doing that stuff. But it's also really hard to handle both of them. Like I went on a trip in week 3 for work, sitting around surrounded by superintendents and also trying to read discussion posts, create a discussion post, read articles and chapters. I am loving the book. It's Learning Leadership. It's a red book, Learning Leadership. A fantastic book. It has like 5 fundamentals, blah, 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 blah. I don't remember the whole title. But it is so easy to read, and I'm learning a lot about myself and about leadership. And it's really good. Steve, you need to read it. Like, it's really good.
Send me the title. I'm always up for reading.
Oh.
I mean, May the 4th is tomorrow. I am in the middle of a Star Wars book, but yeah, I see myself doing more. Can I call it work reading? Is that like, you know what I mean? Like reading for our own professional growth.
Reading to learn instead of reading to entertain.
Yeah. So I'll be doing more of that. Yeah.
So yeah, that's why we're dressed up the way we are, is because tomorrow is May the 4th. May the force be with you. So Steve has got, well, that's usually his normal getup actually. And then there's me in C-3PO over here costume. But yeah, so I hope you all, those who celebrate, happy Star Wars Day. I'm going to send my mom and my uncle off to a Star Wars trivia, and I'm going to make sure I actually have like my homework turned in on time. Be the responsible researcher student.
Are we doing, and we have to make it short. Are we doing what's top of mind? We kind of said a lot. Maybe that's.
We kind of talked already a lot about what's on top of our mind, like on my doctoral program, and
that is true.
How to ethically use AI in the classroom, and then your student relationships and community building, classroom building.
Yeah. I want to make sure we're checking all boxes here because this was a well-planned episode.
Super planned.
As most episodes are.
I at least had questions ready.
I asked you questions. They were ready in my brain somewhere. So one thing though, so we're not going to reveal like who, like, you know, in terms of like who's going to be, you know, on the show this upcoming fall. But I think it's going to be pretty good. I met a lot of folks out at Q. A lot of people have been sending me messages on like, you know, happy to be on the show, talking about a wide range of things. I feel, Sophie, season 3 is going to be a lot of like ed tech founders. Like folks that have started their own companies. What does that all look like from their own vantage point?
Well, and Steve, we also talked about having sort of returning like feature guests that are sort of like coming back more than once to be part of like a panel discussion. So we might have some reoccurring faces, not just from previous seasons, but like within the season that they come back and are part of the show more than once. Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to it. You know, this is closing things down. This is episode 51. I think season 3, we can get into triple digits, maybe.
Really?
I think so.
It took 2 seasons to get to 51.
I know. Maybe I'm being
the math
too
ain't
ambitious. Well, maybe what I'm saying is I think the list is quite.
The list is robust. Yeah.
Yeah. Of who and the concept of panel discussioning is, so we're looking forward to that. The last thing that I'd kind of like to close with, you know, with my own personal journey here. And when I left the classroom, that was a lifestyle change. Going back, still a lifestyle change. I do appreciate putting shoes on in the morning and then just like bam, jamming out somewhere. sometimes at the end of the day, I'm like, oh, I could take off shoes right now, even though I can't. Um, but I will say that we talked about earlier, like, the hardest part of leaving a job is, leaving the people. I can confidently say that the hardest part was seeing Sophie every day, either in a huddle, in a meeting, in a passive aggressive exchange, sometimes by me, sometimes by her. And it makes me appreciate even more um, having this show and being able to still have you part of my life. And I just thank you for just being here and still allowing our friendship to like flourish and expand and sometimes unravel, but it ravels back together and it comes back together. So yeah, no, Sophie, I love you. I appreciate you. And I hope that we can do this forever. And maybe we get to work together someday in a different context. Sophie and I always talked about like, dude, what if we all taught at the same school? What kind of fire would we cause?
Right.
But
Burn
yeah,
down the house.
yes. But no, thank you, friend.
The podcast is legit. The only reason why I think I've been sort of like knowing that we're gonna stay connected because of the podcast has been sort of a weight off my shoulder, because as I mentioned before, I have gone from school to school and those relationships have sort of not stayed. They've been very location based, job based, proximity based. And I've even had coworkers leave Cami and where we were really close while they were there, or even just change teams within Cami and where we had really close relationships and they don't exist anymore. So I was not easy on Steve about him leaving, because I did hold a lot back. I did, but I wasn't I kept telling him I'm a terrible person and everyone else is better than me, because everyone else is like, this is so great for you, Steve. You're going to have so much. And I'm just like, F you, Steve. It's like, you're abandoning me. And it was a little bit of like past trauma of my own, like other friendships, knowing that has happened. I don't have the data. I don't have the experiences in my brain to prove to me that a relationship outside of work and proximity can continue. Because if you guys know anything, we are literally on the opposite sides of the country. It's not like we can just go to the movies or go bowling together, because we're literally on the opposite side of the country. I would have to take probably 3 planes to get to him from where I am. But yeah, it's been a learning experience. Been learning a lot about myself. I've been listening to a lot of music. I've been leaning on the friends that we have together, and the fact that we're still texting, that we're still chatting, that we're still hanging out, we're still supporting each other, even though mine's passive aggressive a lot of times towards you. It's still fun. Like, we still have a lot of fun conversations. So
I agree. Marco Polo helps.
yes, your polos on your drive into work.
Yeah. But yeah.
There's just tools now that are allowing people to stay connected from around the world. And if the fact that we already had that foundation of digital communication, I think is a strong point of we are not dependent on email or Slack. We are we are using all kinds of other tools to stay in communication. And then we also have to get together at least once every 2 months, apparently, because we haven't had a show in so long. But when we come back in the fall, we'll definitely be more regular and maybe even have some that drop that are recorded on different days. But yeah, so we look forward to season 3. We're going to have a lot of new faces and then some recurring faces and really cool conversations with people in education.
Yeah. No, it's been fun. And this season obviously has been so much stronger than the first season because of
I think the branding is quite nice.
the branding helps. Yes. As well as like just knowing more, right? Like you can't, it's like
Yeah, the
anything
first
else.
time you do something, it's never the best time you did it. You know,
No.
the first time you
No.
try something in your classroom is never the best time that you're going to do it. Like the 5th time, season 5 is going to be fire.
Oh yeah. All right, friends. So yeah, this is a good season. Thanks for everyone that is, that contributing, collaborating with us, supporting us. We'll see you all in the fall. I might be dropping some reels, stuff like that over the summer, maybe posting some updates. But yeah, until next time, you all have a good summer. Enjoy that, for those that are in the trenches of education, enjoy that time off. And so, yeah, until next time. As always, I just realized I'm not wearing a hat. My bad. But remember to keep those hats on, those minds open. Till next time.